Saturday, October 17th, just when the community, families, and individual family members thought that they were becoming a team, there was another robbery. This robbery unfortunately killed Miss Quintina. Two of the thieves were caught and killed by two brothers named Hector and Reuben, but the third got away. Robberies are happening in poorer parts of the town and to poorer families because it is easier to get away with. This is the 17th incident since Keith died. The year after, when she's 18, she'll be old enough, according to Dad, to stand a regular night watch. Corey and Dad have been using some of the money Keith brought us to help the people who've been robbed. Stolen money to help victims of theft. Half of their money is hidden in their backyard in case of disaster, and it's very hard to find. Oliver, a small coastal city in Los Angeles, is a middle-upper-class, white, literate community. The KSF, also known as the Kagamato Statum Frampton, has taken over the running of the small city. Incorporated in the 1980s, it's just one more beach-bedroom suburb of Los Angeles. It's a lot richer, but has extra problems. The taxes are higher, the land is unstable, and sometimes parts crumble into the ocean. It has a dependable supply of water, but can't protect from the crumbling earth and the crumbling economy. The KSF bought out the town after many fears and suspicions of the people of the town. Some of the people are still uncomfortable with the change, but they don't have a choice at this point. Even elected officials of the community wouldn't even vote against it until now. Anyone hired by the KSF would have a hard time living on the salary. It's an old company town trick. They get people into debt, hang them on, work them harder, and then they end up in debt slavery. The Garfields, who are almost like family to the Butlers, want to get into Oliver. Marcus, Butler's brother, is one of the only people she admires and considers family. She thinks he is beautiful and wants to marry him in the future. She doesn't want the Garfields to go to Oliver because she thinks that once they go, she'll never see them again. This is unimaginable considering how close they are and how much they've been through together. When she becomes 18, she wants to go north and become a teacher. She wants people to pay to teach them reading, writing, and the basic stuff. She was planning on going all alone. Her grandparents traveled once by car and left them with a lot of maps. Even though she doesn't have a car, she could still use the maps and the roads will still be there. All successful life is adaptable, opportunistic, tenacious, interconnected, and fecund. Understand this, use it, shape God. She wrote this verse a couple months ago, and she thinks it's very true. It seems more true now than ever, more useful to her when she's scared. Shaping God is one of the most important sayings to Butler because she thinks that God is watching her and knows what's happening all the time. On November 14th, 2026, the Garfields get accepted to Oliver. They leave in a month. Butler starts to have conversations with the family, and they say they have no choice because there is nothing left for them where they live now. On November 17th, 2026, Dad didn't come home. He was supposed to come home in the morning, and if he was living, he would have made it home somehow. The whole family and neighborhood knew that. He was very well known, even though it was a very small community, that everyone, adults, kids, families, were looking for hours and days. No one could find him. His daughter, Corey, wanted to go to Oliver, and Dad continued to say no. So she's losing her mind already because he's missing and she doesn't have a final answer. On their journey, at the beginning, in the middle, and the end, they see things that will never get out of their head. They hear screaming from little kids and dogs attacking. They find corpses and ashes and just things they never want to see. After searching for hours and hours, no one could find him, so everyone returns home. Church that week was a sad one, but very inspiring. Butler said all the prayers and sayings, and everyone in the town and everyone who was searching looked for him. They still couldn't find him, but she knew that her father would have been proud of her. After Dad being missing for weeks and weeks and not returning home, they just knew he was dead. Because if he was alive, the 57-year-old man would have come home, whether it was walking, limping, jumping, or even crawling. Unfortunately, they planned a funeral, and it was a very sad one. Unlike Keith's death, where they knew he was dead and in peace and not suffering, they had no idea where Dad was. They didn't know if he was suffering. They didn't know if he was in peace. A couple days later, the Garfields leave for Oliver. A couple days later, Marcus and Butler finally have alone time, and Marcus says he wants to marry her. She finally tells him her plan of going up north alone, and he doesn't like it. He wants her to stay and marry him now so they could just get a job and live the life. Unfortunately, there's another robbery across the street at one of their neighbors. They hear it, they hear the sounds of the fire and the alarms, and they run out. The whole family runs across the street and finds one of the boys, and that's it. They can't find anyone else. After the firemen came and searched the house, they found the rest of the family to be dead. Butler and the rest of the clan takes the little kid back to their house and lets him rest. He's coughing up smoke and injured, and had no clothes left, so they gave him a pair of pants and clothes to make him feel comfortable. It's really unfortunate because now he has no family left and no place to live. He hates living at the Butlers. There's a drug called Pyro, and it is a very intense drug that was a homemade drug that made the high last a very long time. It makes people do crazy things, and in this case, they think that Pyro drug was used for the people to cause the fire. Fires were becoming very popular to hide robberies because there was no evidence in the robberies. A couple days later, Corey, the daughter, finally takes a part of the job that Dad had as a teacher. There's many aspects to the job, so she takes one part and many other people take different parts of it. July 31st, 2027 in the morning. The night before, when they escaped the neighborhood, it was burning. The houses, the trees, the people were just burning. The smoke woke her up, and she shouted down the hall to Corey and the boys and herded them out of the house after she grabbed her clothes and emergency pack. The bells never rang. They didn't know what was going on, besides their house had been under attack and burnt down. Once she ran out, she lost her family, and she fell to the ground because she'd been attacked again. She had a gun and many weapons, but instead of shooting the attackers, she shot herself and suffered the pain. Unfortunately, she didn't know what to do, and the next morning she wakes up and she needed to get rest because she was exhausted. She found a little mound under a house where she knew she was safe and could not be attacked. After a little while, she went home because she felt like she had to, and she sees 5 adults and 1 child searching for the remains of the house. She went through the house, and most of it was burnt down to ashes. The roof had caved in, and almost everything was burnt down or stolen. She went to the backyard and found the emergency money and took all of it. After searching the whole house, she continued to walk, and she found 2 people she knew. She asked where her family had been, and they told her they were dead. They watched it happen. From this book, there are many lessons to be learned, and one of them is to always be thankful for what you have because you never know what's going to happen the next day. It's really sad to think that Butler lost her dad and the rest of her family in an attack that she had no control over.